Love scams aren't just about money. They're about trust, vulnerability, and the pain of betrayal and shame. Hello there and welcome to Women Talk. My name is Anita Woo and today we're discussing another increasingly important topic on the subject of love scams, specifically online love scams, where in Malaysia alone, last year we had reported 935 cases as cited by PDRM. And that was an increase of over 100 cases from the year prior in 2022. These scams are becoming more sophisticated, more manipulative, and we need to be talking about this to raise awareness and to also know how we can protect ourselves from falling victim to such scams and also being of support to those who have fallen to these scams. Joining me today to talk about this topic, we have Malaysian Crime Prevention Foundation member, Associate Professor Dr. Nazria Ahmad of the Faculty of Law of UiTM Shah Alam, as well as criminologist Dr. Hazrina Begum Abdul Hamid, who is also Deputy Dean of Faculty of Law of the University of Malaya. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Now, as we know, in recent years, women especially have increasingly become primary targets of online love scams or online dating scams, if you like, with alarming figures. Like just in 2023 alone, we have had 935 cases being reported by PDRM, which has increased by about over 100 cases from 2022. So we'd like to talk about how intelligent women have become victims of these sophisticated tactics used by scammers and fake online personas used to lure them in. These fraudsters, from my understanding, have built a seemingly genuine sense of trust and seemingly a genuine relationship with some sweet promises in order to lure them financially. Can you share with us some of the statistics that you understand? What's the demographic like, an age group, and how are the tactics as from your understanding?
Okay, yeah. You know, when we are talking about the number of women, about the demography. Actually, they belong to age group between 21 to 30. And in 2022, it is reported that this is the highest age group that become victims of love scam.
Okay.
And in 2023, the category of age of women have increased to 41 to 50 years old.
Right. So does that mean that the spectrum has broadened? That means everything from 20-somethings all the way up?
Yes.
So it's just the spectrum has broadened?
Yes,
wow.
all the way up.
Okay.
So when we talk about this category of women, the ones from the 21 to 30 age group, when they get into online dating apps or social media, this is the category of women who are interested in forming new relationship, and that's why they get into dating apps.
Right.
However, for women between 40 to 50, this is the category of women who's probably divorced, or they're widowed, or they're single, and
or married,
and they're actually seeking companionship.
Right.
So that's why they get into social media.
Okay, and so even if there are, so everyone's got social media these days, right? So it's not actually the primary motivation to be on social media, but I guess what we're looking at is how do you recognize if you are more vulnerable on social media to these online love scams? Now, clearly, there's no real target market. Anybody could really be that. So what is the psychological factor here in which makes you more vulnerable towards these scams?
I think, as Dr. Nazria has said, it's about companionship. It's everyone loves to be praised. These scammers, to lure somebody, they will not, obviously, they will not critique you, they will not insult you, and they will shower you with nice words.
They will love bomb you.
Yes,
nice
flatters. Yes, all this flattery stuff, which of course women are attracted to, and I guess even men would be attracted to, for that matter. So, and when this happens, naturally, it is our natural self to think positively about a person rather than thinking negatively.
Yes.
So we are actually dealing with, now we are having to educate people to think otherwise because of this scamming matter.
Right.
And it's not an easy task. So because most people, we think about people in a positive way, so there will be people who fall into these traps, the scammers' traps. And as you see, all these love bombs are actually too sweet to reject. More so for people who are lonely.
Oh, so how can you share with some of the tactics? Because from my understanding, you have actually spoken to some people who have been convicted of online scams, right?
When they have this relationship going on, right? That's why we say that love is blind, right? These scammers are very good to play with emotions, you know. Once there is a relationship formed, they will believe this person. So it's kind of, the scammers have this kind of SOP, like SOP on how to romance.
Okay, hold that thought. Hold that thought, please. We have to uncover this formula and this SOP. So please join us. We're going for a quick break, but right after this, we'll be continuing this discussion on online love scams, tactics that are being used, and how to protect yourself. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Women Talk. I'm Anita Woo with my guests today, Dr. Hezrina as well as Dr. Nazria Ahmad. And we're talking about some of the SOPs or standard operating procedures or typical tactics that online love scammers use to bait women in to surrender their money, basically, quite willingly. All right. So please continue, Dr. Hezrina. We were on that typical kind of tactics, flags to look out for, red flags to look out for.
Okay, usually after they have tried to form a relationship and they will, understandably, they will gain the victim's trust.
Okay, and
so there will,
affection.
Affection, there will definitely be trust. And then there will be this longingness to be together. Intimacy, they're sharing intimacy. Feelings and all that. So the next thing is that sometimes the scammers want to make it real. They'll do send gifts to the victims,
right? Just
to show that, you know, I am real,
right?
Then they will start saying that, you know, I need to be with you.
Let's meet up.
Let's meet up. But I'm residing elsewhere, somewhere far. Usually, sometimes they have these stories of, oh, I'm coming to you en route Dubai. I will transit at Dubai and sell my gold bars at souk, trying to give that impression to the victim that, you know, I have money.
Have money.
Yeah. And then when they will take some time and then they will call and say that, well, you know, I brought in this gold bars, but then the immigration and customs here stopped me because I have to pay a certain amount of money because I have not sold the gold yet. I do not have enough money.
Interesting.
So then the victim, the victim will then transfer the money, give him the money, and sometimes they will get these scammers will get somebody to pose as the immigration or customs officer even
on the phone.
On the phone, yes.
Dr. Nazria, can you add to that? Can you share with us some of the case studies and the tactics that you have come across, so that we are more familiar of some of these SOPs?
Yeah, well, coming back to the demographic that I mentioned earlier, I only mentioned about, you know, women in the age category between 21 to 30 and 41 to 50. But interestingly, this year, the cases that are reported actually involving women who are above 55 and actually above 60 as well.
Wow, so retirees.
Retirees.
Right.
Yeah, retirees. So, so in the first case, it actually involves a 58-year-old lawyer.
Wow.
That was reported this year. You know, where he got to know a guy who, basically this guy, he's disguised himself as a marine biologist. You know, working in Terengganu, and he had lost some cash due to robbery, and he was seeking her help. And, you know, as a result of that, he transferred more than $1.75 million into his accounts. And this basically involved, you know, some transaction, and it involves about 8 different accounts.
Okay, so that is another flag, right? So then, if first of all, if it's, I think women are intelligent, right? And the thing is, they probably build that trust because the first transaction isn't like, oh, transfer this whole lump sum one at a time. So it's probably smaller amounts to begin with. And you were talking about 1.75 million over the course of how many months, like duration-wise?
Actually, it differs on a case-to-case basis, but in this case, the relationship has developed for a few months already, and back to what Doctor has mentioned earlier about this emotional connection, right? So once the emotional connection is established, then the woman, and in this case, we are talking about a lawyer who's educated,
a professional,
and who can still fall for it.
So, okay, into different accounts you mentioned as well. Is that another flag? Basically, if you're being asked to transfer money into an account that doesn't tally with the person's name and different accounts, that's another flag, isn't it?
Yes. A red flag.
A very big flaming red flag. How would you say in terms of online profiles, would you say there are also tactics that some that I know of obviously are, okay, let's have a video call, but now the problem with AI and deep fakes, I personally know someone who had been duped, and thankfully she is still of the demographic that is a bit more tech savvy, so she said there's something a little bit off about these visuals. It didn't look like it was like a real person, but as AI goes along, we know that that could be more seamless. Social media checkups. Can you speak more about other measures that we can look into to be a bit more careful?
Well, scammers, they're criminals. And criminals, they evolve. They are also very smart. They upgrade their tactics. Sometimes they won't put too much of an eye candy, I would say. They sometimes would put like a just normal looking man with a child.
Right.
So the best way is that to do a Google image search. Do a Google image search, and while yes, AI is now being used, but it would be good to have a video call at least. So even if you cannot see that person's, or the slightest doubt, always trust your instincts. Sometimes if you see that the voice is a bit different, because
it sounds a little bit choppy or modulated, a bit robotic.
Yes. Because while we have AI is fabulous, but it cannot 100% mimic a human being. There will be something off. And then always try to get affirmation about this person from someone else, or if you can find out. We are always on Google. Most people are always on Google. If you can find something about this particular character elsewhere, and it's different from what the person you are speaking to, that's a red flag.
Okay, Dr. Nazria, what about you?
Yeah, and also another way is basically, looking at whether or not what they speak is very scripted. And also another thing is like asking them personal details that they have shared with you repeatedly, just to confirm whether they remember the details that they shared with you.
Right.
And because they are scammers, right, they probably will forget certain things because it's not their true identity.
Right.
And so the information that they reveal to you may change from time to time. By asking them repeatedly, you will actually get them to memorize and remember. And chances are when a person lies, they will forget what they lie about.
And I think the other thing that you mentioned earlier as well is that women sometimes don't even realize that this is so professional, that you're not the only one that you're in a relationship with. This is a professional con job, and they are literally copy-pasting their strategies and their SOPs to multiple women at the same time. Very, very interesting topic at this point, and we are definitely going for a break at the moment, and we're coming back with more discussions on what support can you have, what are some of the remedial measures possibly, and to understand a little bit more about this topic when we come back after this break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Women Talk. I'm Anita Woo, together with Dr. Hezrina Begum as well as Dr. Nazria. And we're talking about online love scams, specifically to raise awareness on the increasing cases that's happening, as well as what you can do to minimize your risk or to lower your risk. If you're already scammed, the problem is that it's not like you can get your money back. There's not much remedial action that you can take, right? What are some of the things that you can do to kind of I don't know, take evidence, keep evidence of perhaps taking screenshots, keeping records of your conversations. What else would you recommend? Let's start with you, Dr. Hazrina.
Yeah, as you have correctly pointed out, and Dr. Nazria have said also, make a lodge a police report, and before that, don't delete any evidence. Even how painful you feel that those conversations are, those are very important evidence. And then give as much as details as you can to the police and a multimedia commission. You can also report there.
MCMC.
Yes, MCMC. So do that part. Now that is as to the reporting part. But what is more important is this person's self, yourself. So you are emotionally hurt, you are emotionally and financially harmed.
Yes.
Because, you know, you're a victim of theft. So it's more of not blaming yourself, of more of understanding and looking at things as it is, that, you know, you're actually a victim of crime.
Yeah.
And now there are certain things that you need to do. So try not to blame your own self, but think of ways to then protect yourself and only engage with people who can understand you.
I think the extent as well, thank you for that, Dr. Hazrina, because what women don't realize is that sometimes with these online love scams, it's not just that they're being scammed of their own money, but their own accounts are being used as mule accounts.
Yes.
Right? So in that sense, this evidence is important to protect their own so-called innocence, right? Is in that sense.
Yes, definitely. So it's important so that, as we know, scammers use mule accounts as well. So that's why now, even in scam cases, there's been arrest of mule accounts, people who have these fake accounts, who facilitate the works of the scammers. So that's why all these details, do not delete all these details, because it's very important
for your defense.
For your defense and for the police investigations as well.
Thank you, Dr. Hazrina. And can you please add on that?
One of the interesting things about this love scam is that there will be a final stage, right, where the scammer would actually isolate the woman from the family, you know, from the friends. And so when the woman became increasingly isolated, she will tend to keep things to herself.
Right.
You know, so it's always good, I mean, because this is women's talk, right? So it's always good for a woman to always keep in touch with her friends. You know, and always have like group of friends that she can consult with. And, you know, when a person, a stranger, asks you to transfer some money into the bank's account, before you do that, at least consult your friend.
Yes, I think that is very, in terms of a preventative measure, when you do feel like you're being isolated, you have to be counterintuitively actually check, because they're already feeling a bit ashamed, perhaps, right? Maybe they've already transferred some transactions. Maybe they're thinking, oh, you know, will my friends think that I'm stupid, for example? But that is the time that you have to reach out, right? Touching on the scam accounts, right, and mule accounts. Once that happens, is there an online security bill or something like that, something that is already in place that can protect women who have fallen into this, as it stands?
At the moment, we do not have much loss. We only, all scamming transactions, if discovered, if at all, will go under the ambit of Section 420 of the Penal Code. And Section 420 of the Penal Code is cheating. So it's very difficult to prove. And most of the cases where scammers are being convicted, and in most cases happens where the accused pleads guilty. So there's also cases where the police have to apply the SOSMA, or Security Offences Act, to actually detain the person, because, you know, it's not easy to get evidence. You're using different person's IP, and then they are transferring. Yes,
and they're overseas usually. Potentially.
Exactly. So a lot of them, sometimes it's hard to get this hard and tangible evidence, but sometimes you know that this person is scammer. So sometimes police have to invoke those laws to make sure that, you know, they stop whatever this individual is doing. So we are actually very hopeful that there will be an online bill to actually address this scamming problem.
I think the government has done a few measures. At national level, the Ministry of Communications has organised this Jelajah Anti-Scam Kebangsaan, which was held in 2023 in collaboration with Cybersecurity Malaysia. So that's a body that a woman can report to, Cybersecurity Malaysia. Also in conjunction with Salcom DG and Gabungan Bertindak Anti-Scam, as well as Malaysian Crime Prevention Foundation. Under this particular collaboration, they targeted to visit every state, in order to spread awareness and to educate the public in relation to who they can actually go to. So the most important thing is that, do not be afraid to report.
In fact, this is the problem. The shame and the guilt surrounding it is what is causing these cases to be underreported and under-investigated.
Yes.
Dr. Hazrina, if we could wrap up with one word of advice, what would it be from a criminologist point of view?
Sometimes wishful thinking may not be the best, especially when it involves money. And if a person loves you, they won't ask you money. That's the basic rule. So just be careful, because you need to take care and look out for your own self. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Or someone you just met. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Hazrina. And what about you, Dr. Nazria?
And I think for me, the key takeaway would be for women, regardless of your age, I think you need to constantly educate yourself, and you need to constantly know about, how things are done. And I'm especially concerned about the elderly woman, who seems to be out of touch with a lot of, advances in technology. And they are the one who get scammed now a lot, so it's all about education.
And in that sense, community. Don't isolate yourself. Share this information. If there's any doubt, trust that intuition. Thank you so much, Dr. Hazrina and Dr. Nazria, for being here today and your valuable, insightful, professional input on this very important matter. And thank you as well to our viewers at home for increasing your awareness and spreading the word. If you enjoyed this topic, please engage with us on social media at Women Talk TV3 and at TV3 Malaysia. With that, I'm Anita Woo, and until the next episode, take care.